As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Saturday mornings with Crunch Time Sports. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Caleb Czarnik. I'm here with Michael Gentry. Mike, how we feeling this morning?
I'm doing great, Caleb. It's been a great week. Got to watch some golf all week. The Masters, best week of the year. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And you know what, Mike? You bring it up. We were going to get to this later, but I want to talk. What kind of bets you got for the Masters right now? Because I'll tell you mine. I got DeChambeau. Go ahead.
No. You go.
I got DeChambeau top 10, and I got Schauffele top 5. And it's giving me a cash out right now for $5 extra. I don't know if I should take it.
You said it was Schauffele and DeChambeau top 5?
No, DeChambeau top 10, Schauffele top 5.
Okay. No, honestly, I would let that ride out. I actually, the only one that I have in, I did a couple of like 3 balls where you bet the winner of the group for that day or whatever. And I got sold short on a few guys on those. But the one future I do have in, I just have Bryson to win it. So that's obviously still looking pretty healthy right now. Hopefully has a good day today, 7 unders in second place. So, it's looking up.
Yeah, the Masters, it's the best time of the year. And it's like, they were talking about it on 97.1. It's like, that's the mecca of golf. I would love to go to the Masters. And let me ask you this real quick, Mike, before we get into some Detroit sports. This question gets asked on every single podcast around the world. I know it's not original, but I'm going to ask it. If you started on the farthest part of the green away from the hole, on every hole, are you winning the Masters?
If I start on the, I have to make a long.
From the farthest away from the hole on the green, every hole.
No.
You can't 3-putt every hole? I don't think I could. I could not.
Okay. I get what you're saying. No, honestly, I probably still couldn't, to be honest. Some of those holes, dude, you tap the ball and it rolls off the other side of the green. So honestly, I'd probably make a few mistakes. So probably not, to be honest. What yeah. You think you could or you couldn't?
No, I don't think I could. No. But I see people saying they think they could. Yeah, right. That's not happening.
No, especially obviously a lot of the PGA golfers have golfed that course unlimited amounts of times and they know the lay of the land and they're still struggling. So you think you're just going to come in off rip and then no, probably not.
Those greens are ridiculous.
Oh, no.
Those greens are ridiculous.
Insane. I actually had
I was going to say the nicest course we've ever played, how fast those greens were. And this isn't even counting in the hills on the green and everything. The nicest course we've played, those greens are 10 times faster.
Yeah.
Those guys are just so good.
Yeah, it's insane.
And the course is so well kept.
Even Michigan golfers, if you golf some of the up north courses, like Arcadia Bluffs and stuff, those greens are a next level from obviously your local course. And then you got to think the Masters is 20 times that. So it's insane. But we were having a conversation, one of me and my buddies, is if you could pick any sporting event to go to, would the Masters be at the top of your list? It's got to be Masters, Super Bowl.
This isn't counting very niche things like Lions Super Bowl or
no. It's just general. Let's say general sporting event that isn't your team, because obviously we haven't got to see the Lions go to the Super Bowl. So
I'd say the Masters is probably one. Trying to think just places I'd like to go, arenas and field. I'd like Madison Square Garden is one. Wheezy says Kentucky Derby, Daytona 500. I know someone that went to the Kentucky Derby. They said it was really fun, just kind of but they were they didn't have the best, seats and stuff for it. They might have been in the, what's it called? In the middle of the track, I think. I don't know. But yeah, Madison Square Garden is a place I want to go. Fenway. But sporting event,
yes.
The Masters.
It's tough. It's got to be the Masters. Like I said, it could be the Super Bowl. I mean, the World Series has been to a World Series before, so like,
Yeah, but the
I don't know.
Super Bowl, it's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's like, if your team's not in it, I'd rather watch it on my couch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and especially if your team's not in it, I think a lot of the events surrounding the Super Bowl, not like the actual game, probably would be like the funnest part of your trip, especially if your team's not playing in it. Look, Alex here says Summer Olympics. That would be insane
That
too.
would be cool.
That
That'd be
would be
cool.
insane. That's a good one.
Or like, yeah, the summer. I mean, I guess that kind of includes this, but the World Baseball Classic the other year,
That would be
that
good too.
was sweet to go to one of those games and watch USA play. That would have been sweet. Going to that game, Japan versus USA, that would have been sweet. The Dole Spoon says Wimbledon. Be a cool one.
Yeah, I mean, you could even say like hockey, like that the Four Nations game between Canada and Team USA in Boston. That was probably, unreal sporting event. Obviously, you'll get that again with the Olympics and whatnot, but that's probably unreal too.
John Parker says the area. Is this true? Is Augusta in a sketchy area?
I mean, I cannot nor confirm nor deny. I have no idea, to be honest.
That'd be weird.
The lay of the land looks beautiful. You can't tell really how the surrounding parts are. You'd have to ask someone that's been there, but maybe John knows.
Strange. How do you feel about like the like all the rules of the Masters? Like, I love the no phones rule. I think that's a really sweet rule. Like the dress code, everything. How do you feel about all that? Because I think it's awesome.
I think I wouldn't change a thing about it. Obviously, it's like the most prestigious golf tournament, golf course. So like I think having rules like set in place for that, not, keeping it prestigious, that's the way to go. There should be no phones, honestly, at majority of golf tournaments.
Yeah.
Obviously you always see the people in the gallery or whatever taking pictures, taking videos and stuff. Shouldn't be that way, but
yeah, shout out Booner. He's in the chat. Jeff was going at the Masters yesterday because they didn't show enough Bryson. They didn't show enough Bryson. And it's a live thing, dude. I think it is.
no, it's 100% because it's not even just Bryson. It's multiple golfers. Like I said, like there was Cam Smith, there was few guys. They didn't even start showing Tyrell Hatton or whatever until like later on in the day when he started doing well. Like they just have like no coverage on those guys, especially when Bryson was like one of the first two groups, I want to say, yesterday. And he obviously, got off to sort of a lead there and started pulling away and getting up top, and they still had no coverage of him. So yeah, and Booner says he didn't see Brooks take one shot. I mean, Brooks went like 5 over yesterday, so probably rightfully so. But like, even on the first day, I want to say he was even or maybe 1 over. It's just,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, and look, I'm not a Rory guy, and I think him bitching about the live all the time kind of plays into that too. Like, all right, we're gonna make Rory happy here. We don't want. This is kind of our guy. He stayed, true to us. We're not going to show him a ton. We're not going to show the live guys a ton. I'm not a Rory guy. I'm not. Yeah. And I know he shot lights out yesterday, but he's going to find a way to
show.
Look, he'll be in it, I think, on Sunday, but he's going to find a way to. We were talking about it yesterday. I think it was on Full Swing, like the behind the scenes of it all. The US Open when Bryson won, that putt that Rory missed.
Oh yeah.
And then we were like, dude, I think from that distance, I think it was like 2 feet or 2 or 3 feet. He hasn't missed one of those in like 100 tries or something crazy.
Yeah.
And then misses it, whatever. Obviously, Bryson hits the shot out of the bunker, wins it. And then Rory goes in the back, watches it happen, gets in his car, drives away. Come on. I mean, what are we doing here? Talk to the media at least a little bit. Anybody else would have. I get you're upset. Like, you're a competitor. You're competitive and you're upset you lost, but come on. Like, getting in your car, driving away. I don't know how I feel about that. Just not a Rory guy. I'm not.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I'm not either. I am rooting for him to be in contention on Sunday. I hope it's him, Bryson, Scotty, and Scotty will probably end up winning. But I do hope he's in contention because I want to see that final stretch. I want to see one of the live guys. Obviously, I hope it's Bryson, but I want to see one of them compete with either Scotty or Rory to win it all. And I think eventually Scotty's going to take it away. No one has like the ice in golf right now that Scotty Scheffler has, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure everyone kind of feels the same way about him, but
Scotty's going to win it.
Yeah. If he's like
He's gonna-
within that 1 or 2 stroke range going into Sunday, there's no one I have more confidence in to win than him.
We were looking at the odds last night. He's plus 330. I think I'm going to take it. Like he's just that good. And on Sunday, when the pressure's on him, when the pin placements are at their toughest, advantage, Scotty.
Yeah.
He's going to win it. I think he's the best golfer on the planet right now. He's probably the most. Would you say the most dominant golfer we've seen? He's not on Tiger Woods' level.
No,
he's the most dominant golfer.
Not yet, but he definitely
most dominant
probably.
golfer since Tiger.
Yes, I would
But
say
Tiger,
that, especially after
not,
the year.
not even close to on his level.
Yeah, after the year he had last year, I would say that for sure. But the thing that kind of gives me the more confidence with him is like Scotty's had like a lot of bad approach shots, and like he's been able to recover. Like yesterday, I don't remember what hole it was on. I want to say it was like 11 or something, and he overshot the green, hit it in the woods, gets a bad lie, and then chips it in for birdie. So it's like if you're making shots like that and his putter's on, there's no way he's losing.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yes,
the
man.
But yeah, so Masters coverage rest of the weekend. I'm so excited to watch that. Gonna be sweating my bet out on Sunday because I think it's gonna be close. But
I do want to bring one more thing up.
Go ahead.
Louise D. I thought Arcadia Bluffs was fake. It looks amazing. It is amazing. It is. Caleb, we are going to have to make the trip one time.
Yeah. Have you played? I mean, dude, there's some nice courses around. Have you ever played? I feel like we've talked about it before. The Orchards is probably one of the better courses I've played around here. The Orchards is a really nice course. That's really the only course I've played where it's like, whoa, like this has a different vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like it's always even like the clubhouse people. I'm usually playing, public whatever courses where the carts barely move and everything. But you show up, you basically get valet service, take your bags, put them in the cart for you, and then it's a hard course. But dude, the harder courses are just fun, in my opinion. The faster greens, you got to be more strategic with your shots.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love the Orchard.
Bluffs, that's a bucket list for me. I would love to go play there. I would shoot $1 million.
Yeah, so I'm going in 3 weeks for one of my buddy's bachelor parties. My second time golfing there, so I'm super hyped. It's gonna be lit.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited.
I'll send you some pictures.
But Mike, I do want to get into this.
God,
I know what you were trying to do here. You were trying to distract me, talk about golf, and we wouldn't get into the Red Wings. Exciting win last night for the Red Wings. Marco Kasper in overtime against the Lightning. That's a really good win. However, the Red Wings' playoff chances are slim to none. They need to win out. They need Montreal to lose out in regulation. This would be 9 years in a row the Red Wings missed the playoffs, 6 under Steve Yzerman. Second longest playoff drought in hockey, only behind the Buffalo Sabres. And for reference, for how long it's been since the Red Wings made the playoffs. Love Yourself by Justin Bieber was the #1 song on the Billboard. Captain America Civil War was the #1 movie. The 32-year-old LeBron James came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Golden State Warriors to win the finals. Peyton Manning, who I think is 1 million years old right now, and the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl. Pokemon Go, the app, was at its peak. The infamous Drake Views album dropped. Great album. Even if you don't like Drake, you can't deny it's a good album. Summer 16, that music was unbelievable. Shout out Bryson Tiller, Trap Soul. And I was in 8th grade, and I only cared about hair gel and Axe body spray. Mike, you're on the stand right now.
Hey, Axe body spray, hair gel.
I was in 8th grade the last time the Wings made the playoffs.
And
that's
Justin
really all
Bieber.
I cared about.
Justin Bieber. Legend.
And where is your head at right now? In all seriousness, where is your head at right now with this Wings team? I know a lot of Wings fans are upset, rightfully so. I'm upset. Where is your head at right now with this Detroit Red Wings team and kind of the state they're in?
I mean, like I said, I said it the last 2 weeks. I'm upset too. It's disgraceful when the stretch that they went on after winning, going 15-4 or whatever it was in that good stretch of games, and then completely collapsing every year around March. This continuously happens, and I know you're saying there's a long shot, but it's really there's no shot. There's no way the Red Wings are winning 3 in a row, and Montreal is going to lose them all. Really, it was that game in Montreal the other night that kind of crossed you off from playoffs. So you win that one, you had a chance, but obviously that didn't work out. But no, I honestly, it's pretty bad. Going into next offseason, you're going to have a lot of different moves to make. You have a lot of heftier contracts still on the books, and then you got guys like Tarasenko and some of these guys on 1-year expiring deals, so you might be able to move them in the offseason. And then they're still looking to get a lot of their younger guys up. So it's going to be a busy offseason, but overall disappointing season again. Caleb, you know how hype I was to finally see playoffs. Obviously didn't happen, but yes, overall depressing.
Yeah, very depressing. Very depressing because it felt like for a second there, like it was kind of before the All-Star break. We were like, yeah, I mean, this team, they're playing really good hockey, and it looks like we're going to see postseason hockey back in Detroit. But I think there is a foundation. I think Steve Yzerman has done a good job of bringing young talent in and kind of building a core. You got your hometown captain and Dylan Larkin, obviously Lucas Raymond, Mo Sider, Marco Kasper, a bunch of young talent in the organization. But we talk about it all the time. I feel like a broken record talking about it. He just hasn't done a good enough job bringing in, outside of probably DeBrincat and half of Kane, bringing in good proven vets to complement those young players. And that's what you need to do. So how does Steve Yzerman's how does the Yzer plan have to change? Like, what does he have to do differently to bring winning hockey back to Detroit?
Well, one, it's like you kind of already brought up the bulky contracts for like veterans, Justin Holes, like the Ben Sherratts, the JT Comfort, Andrew Kopp. Like these guys are getting paid a boatload of money and, a good amount of term. Usually most of these guys have been on like 3 to 4 years, maybe even 5-year contracts. And they're getting paid way too much and they're not producing. So as we see some of those guys either get traded, their contracts run out, we kind of see the young players shift into their spots. It's really going to come down to signing again. He's going to have to make signings in the offseason once these young players get up to get guys that complement each other. You can't get all these defensemen and sign all these guys and they're all useless. You can't sign 2 centers for a combined $10 million and these guys aren't getting more than 40 points. It just doesn't work out that way. And then even like Tarasenko, you sign him for just short of $5 million to replace David Perron. You expected him to kind of double that production or at least maintain that. And he's done worse than David Perron, who is, he's getting up there in age and probably shouldn't have had as good of years that he did, with Detroit. As you can see with Ottawa, I think he has 7 points. Last year with the Red Wings, he had, I think, 50 plus. So,
yeah, I mean, dude, I've been seeing this a lot on social media, and I don't know how I don't like it personally, but Phil in the chat, I don't think there's a problem. The only problem I see is Larkin wants out, trade Larkin for picks and defense. Like I've been seeing trade Larkin, and a lot of it isn't from Red Wings fans, it's just from NHL fans because I mean Larkin's the hometown kid, like he's been the captain, he's played some really good years here in Detroit. I think he can be your guy, in a sense. What do you think about the idea of trading Dylan Larkin?
I don't think he'll actually get traded. And I don't even think that's like in the stratosphere, but I do agree with him being like disappointing because like last year when you go through this March stretch, obviously Dylan Larkin wasn't there because of that horrific injury he obtained or whatever, but he plays this whole year through this stretch and he was most of a ghost. And I've kind of seen it in the chat, like you didn't really see him take over that leadership role and kind of spring them out of bad spots and whatnot. So down this stretch, you should have expected more from him and he should have shown up more. And it is disappointing that he didn't. And he did not play up to his level, especially coming out of the 4 nations and showing that spurt that he did. He looked like, he was showing he was going to be or that he is a top center in this league and he can play that 2-way game. And then you fall out flat on your face right after that. And I mean, you can even say Lucas Raymond a bit, him and Dylan Larkin both didn't really hit a stride after the All-Star break to kind of keep this team in it and win those games. And it's not just on them. You do need more than, one line to show up. But Dylan Larkin and the way he has played, I don't think that's acceptable by any means.
No, it's not. I don't think so. I mean, and John, has Larkin said he wants out? No, he hasn't said he wants out, but I've been seeing not from Wings fans, because Wings fans all of us should say absolutely fucking not. You do not trade Dylan Larkin. But I've seen a lot of just NHL people talking about the idea of maybe hitting like almost a restart button again and trading Dylan Larkin. It's just not a good idea. That's your guy. Like, you know what I mean? That's it. That's your dude. That's your captain. That's the guy that, and it's disappointing to see that a team doesn't rally around a guy like Dylan Larkin. I was kind of expecting that to happen. But it just didn't. And yeah, like Boone said, you trade Larkin for picks and you're back to square one. You just can't do that. You're going into another rebuild that it's going to be another 5-6 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to happen. But
just date it back to last year once he got injured down that playoff stretch. I know obviously they're not winning many games. They're going really back and forth right now, but they were losing every game playing with those two centers, Andrew Kopp and JT Compher as the 1 and 2 with Dylan Larkin out. They were losing like every single game. So like, it would definitely put you back to square one. I think there's other ways to move around that. Like Andrew Kopp, JT Compher, one of these guys needs to be moved. You need to move a defenseman. You can't have Justin Holl getting paid $3 million. Like there's a few other guys like Albert Johansson. There's no way a young guy like that didn't earn his spot and show in year one of him being a rookie that he can be more effective defensively than half the guys that Yzerman signed for $3+ million. So there's other moves to be made, and they just signed Larkin not too long ago too. Like Larkin, Mo, and Lucas Raymond. You will probably never see those guys in.
That's your foundation. That's your core. That's your foundation. That's where I give, Yzerman credit is that he built that foundation, but it's the pieces around him. And Booner says again in the chat, trading Larkin would be a panic move. This is something I will say about Yzerman and Brad Holmes. And then Brad Holmes kind of does the same thing. He won't make a panic move. No. Like even with all of the struggles recently, he's not going to make a move where like, okay, this is like a 50-50 shot. This works, but I need to make the fans are all yelling at me. They're saying the Yzer plan sucks. The guys on Saturday, the fat kid on Saturday mornings at crunch time, it was said I'm on the hot seat a couple weeks ago. But yeah, he's not. I don't think he'll make a panic move. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he's the most confident in the state of the Red Wings next year. But, he kind of similar to Scott Harris, he really prides himself on that young talent he has in the organization. And I don't think he wants to mortgage any of that young talent to go out and make a big move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Phil says here, do not agree at all. Let Larkin go to a team he wants to play for. Boston traded their best guy.
He wants to play.
Brad Marchand has 1 year left, if that. You don't even know. Like, you don't know how long he's going to play for. They're honoring him because the Boston's a shit show, and they're going to send him to win another Stanley Cup. Those two aren't in the same scenario at all. Larkin's still got a long time left to play. Marchand's at the back end of his career. But I get what you're saying. Teams do give up the best players in a sense, but they're different timelines, Phil. Different timelines.
Yeah, I don't know. Disappointing, man. Disappointing because I think like I said, that right before the All-Star break when they were really playing well, and before the Four Nations, it was like, wow, this team is so. It had the vibes of late last year. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was like. This team, they're gritty. They're buying into what every other team is doing, in Detroit. They're gritty, and they're winning hockey games.
Yeah. But even though, like, you talked about the Four Nations and stuff, and even with how well they were playing after that, you figured that they would kind of add some pieces to kind of shore up some, of those odds and ends, maybe get another center, get another defenseman, and they trade for a bottom forward and another goalie, which – Peter Mrazek, he's done well at spurts, but if there was moves like to be made, I think Yzerman would have made them. I don't know if there was anything for them to do or if whatnot, but it was disappointing trade deadline, disappointing after the trade deadline, everything that transpired with them.
Is there anybody? And again, I guess it's not early because it's the end of the season and. All we have left is the playoffs. Are there any players in free agency for the Red Wings that you're looking at like, wow, this would be a perfect fit? Or are you still in griefing mode? Are you still in?
Yeah,
I can't even look at anything hockey related right now.
Yeah, I'll dive more back into that in the as we kind of get closer to the next season, and I'll lay out some guys and whatnot who I think they should go after. But they do have cap space, and they can make some moves. Obviously, if they move some people around, they'll be able to make bigger moves. But as of right now, I look for it. They're going to get another defenseman, and they have to get another center that's going to make an impact. I don't want to go relying on Andrew Kopp in the next season. He did play pretty well this year in between DeBrink and Kane for a bit, but through his 4 years, you haven't seen that consistency. So I'm not relying on guys like this, JT Comp or Andrew Kopp. I'm going out and getting an actual dude and making the playoffs. So they have some moves to make.
And talking about kind of like the offseason and how the Red Wings have approached it, they've always been butted up with the cap every single year. So it's not like they're not going out and spending money. It's just not getting the right guys. They're just not going out and getting the right guys around their young pieces. Like I said, they're butting up every single year. Like Illich is giving Yzerman the tools to do what he wants with this roster. You know what I mean? They're up against the cap every year, and it's just he hasn't brought in the right guys. And you even can look back at the deadline this year where they didn't do much to make this team better. They didn't do much to make this team better when they really, really needed a spark. Yeah. That was the point of the season where they really needed a spark.
Yeah. And like you said, in the offseason, they have had cap space to make moves, and it hasn't been a ton to where you sign superstar-esque players, but these players that he's giving money to he's giving them way too much money, and he's always a guy that brings up term, how many years this guy or so-and-so is going to get and whatnot. And he's given it to the wrong people. So he seems overzealous, cautious, like Steven Stamkos. We got out of that because the term, how many years he wants, but he's okay to give Justin Holl 3 years. He's okay to give Andrew Kopp 4 years, okay to give JT Comp for 4 years. There's been some mistakes made. I'll just leave it at that. Some of it doesn't add up. I'll just leave it at that.
He's not perfect. John Parker asks here for you, Gentry, do you think they bring Kane back? I think they need to let him walk if he even wants to come back. He's a defensive liability. Feel like I am a minority on this take. How do you feel about the Red Wings bringing Kane back?
I think he will. I think they will bring him back. I do agree that he is sort of a defensive liability, but what he's able to do on your power play is kind of unmatched. And, some teams have tons of stars in their primes, and they're still not even able to get the success rate that the Red Wings have had. So I think he'll be kept, especially for that aspect. Do I expect him to play as big of a role as he is this year? Probably not. I think if you shore up the roster, he gets that kind of lesser role, and then you see him more on the power play and kind of erase some of those defensive liabilities. But to be honest, I think Patrick Kane finishes his career in Detroit. I don't think he goes back to Chicago.
Is this true, Booner, in the chat? Gentry guaranteed a Stanley Cup next year?
No.
Is this a true thing? Are we getting an announcement right now that Michael Gentry is guaranteeing a Detroit Red Wings Stanley Cup next year?
No.
Okay.
No. But if they don't make the playoffs, I will be I don't know. There's not really words to describe if they put me through another season like this and go to March and then shit the bed again. I'm sure all Red Wings fans feel the same too, but
that would be 10 years. That's impressive to do. I'm just saying, no disrespect. That's impressive to do. 10 years, no playoffs. But okay, I'll give you something, I guess, to be excited about, Mike. Next year with the Wings, are there any players, and this is looking ahead big time, but are there any players, the young players in this organization, one of the best, organization prospect-wise in hockey, are there any players that are gonna be brought up for the Wings that are going to make an impact on this hockey team?
You would think maybe, I've been talking about it, centerman's been so bad. Maybe Nate Danielson, last year's pick, or 2 years ago rather, and then Axel Sandin-Pellikka, defenseman. He's one of the best defensemen overseas right now. He's probably the best prospect all of hockey. He is a little shorter in size, but he's an offensive defenseman, and he will be lights out on the power play for the Red Wings, and he's really good defensively too for being a smaller guy. So I think those two would be the ones that you key in on for next year. Obviously, we have the two goalies, Trey Augustine and Kosa. Hopefully, one of those two can make the leap. I would think maybe Sebastian Kosa before Trey Augustine. I think Augustine's going to end up going back to state for one more year. So those would be the one. I think ASP is probably the most like NHL ready, even though if you don't think so, you could probably still slot him in on the third line and get better production than you're getting out of some of these guys. So,
yeah, well, Greg, can hockey teams turn around like other sports teams? We're going to get to one of the teams that turn it around. Where Scott Bentley's going to join up. We're going to talk some Tigers. I got a cool topic for later in the show. If we get to it today, if we don't, we'll get to it next week. Which team had the better turnaround or more impressive turnaround? The Detroit Lions or the Detroit Pistons? So we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Lukas Klotz, I still don't forgive you, Caleb, for taking Shedeur last night. I did take Shedeur Sanders with the second overall pick in our mock draft yesterday. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, Klotzy. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think it could happen. I think they could they probably sat this kid down and they fell in love with Shedeur Sanders. And they got Deion Sanders in their back pocket saying, hey, take my kid. He's a good ball player. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but I don't think it's more crazy than, and love Jeff. Jeff is Mel Kiper. He's the draft guy. And I'm a Jackson Dart guy. Jackson Dart to the Saints at 9. That was a little bit crazy. I got a couple chats in here. Dylan Dingler is him. Yeah, we'll get to him in a little bit. He's been absolutely raking. I think he had 2 or 3 hits yesterday, maybe 4. And let me say this: that was the longest baseball game I've ever watched. Yeah, Dingler had 3 hits yesterday. That was 3.5 hour ball game on Apple TV. Apple TV is the worst streaming service I think I've ever watched a game on in my entire life. Dude, it was basically a Twins broadcast. They talked about the Tigers for maybe 35 seconds. But luckily they have a feature on there where you could put on like Tigers radio synced into it with Dan Dickerson.
Yeah,
so that helped a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say, I didn't watch because don't have Apple TV. So I was tapped into the Pistons though, Caleb.
I'm tapped in. Hey, I'm tapped in. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But, yeah, Apple TV, no disrespect, Apple. But I took the 3-month free trial, but you will not see one singular cent from me. I'm going to cancel that shit immediately after the 3 months is over.
Fair.
But,
Fair.
Yeah, Mike, good stuff with the Wings, man. I'm sorry for you. My heart goes out to you. You're a warrior.
Yeah, it's been tough, but hey, there is some bright side. We got the Pistons in the playoffs. The Tigers are rolling. We got our Michigan Panthers that we get to go see every weekend.
Yes.
So we got a lot of good things for the summer. Yes, we're disappointed, but we'll be all right. We'll push through.
Yeah. Well, talk about the Tigers here. We got one of the best in the game in the building. I'd like to welcome on writer for S&G newspapers, and you could catch him on Locked On Tigers and Locked On Red Wings, Mr. Scott Bentley. Scott, how we doing this morning? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, what's up, boys? Good to be
on?
here. I'm pumped, man. Yeah, I logged on. I think I got in this room like 1 minute after you said, and I was freaking out that I was gonna make your guys' whole schedule off. So I'm glad I'm here and we're ready to roll.
No, you're all good, man. I say this every single time we have a guest on Saturdays. Saturday mornings, I get it could be, a little tough for some people to join, so we're very appreciative.
I'm fresh out the shower, baby. I'm ready to roll. All right, I'm ready to talk some ball.
Love it. Let's kick that. Let's kick the people's weekend off on a good note. And look, we just spent and I know you're a Wings guy, and we just spent the first half of the show talking about the Red Wings. Kind of, how do you feel about this pretty disappointing season, and where's your head at with the state of the Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah, man, it's such a unique place because I feel like it's as fans we tend to want to find like one person or one specific scapegoat, right, in any situation. And in sports especially, you know, fans are always looking for like, whose fault is it? Who do I blame? And I understand that like Yzerman's seat is hotter than it's ever been, at least, you know, as in his Red Wings tenure for sure. But it's just, there's so much more nuance to it, right? Like, he has done a like pretty objectively fantastic job when it comes to youth and drafting and player development and stuff like that. But in the same breath, he has also, like, I think you could argue objectively, been really brutal in pretty much all of the NHL talent he's brought in. Like, there are so many like dead money contracts on this NHL roster. And so it's just this weird thing where, like, if they can, they have great young talent, like fantastic, and it's not like they're, you know, 15 points from the playoffs. This is 2 years in a row they have barely missed. Like, they are just, we are begging for just like a couple of decent NHL players to get added to this young core, and I still think they can get over the hump. But this is, it's frustrating because there's no consistency, right? Like, they're the best team in hockey for 2 months, and then they're the worst team in hockey for a month and a half. And then they're the best team for 2 weeks, then they're the worst team for 2 weeks. And that's, I think, the frustrating part of the on ice product is the lack of consistency. And even with a coaching change, that didn't really that didn't really change. So I'm interested, I guess, in this summer and in this offseason, because I think that this is going to be, it kind of goes without saying, but the most important offseason of Yzerman's tenure for sure.
Yeah, well, what did I just do here? Trying to get the hang of this thing. But
I feel it.
Scott, I'm not gonna have you on and talk about a non-playoff team for 20 minutes. We're gonna talk about the Tigers here. 8-5, a really nice win against the Twins last night. I know it's difficult to have strong opinions on a baseball team after 13 games. What are your first impressions of the Tigers to start the year? Because they've exceeded a lot of my expectations offensively. At least we knew we were going to get out of the pitching, but I think they've been one of the better teams in the league offensively. Kind of, what are your first impressions of this team?
Yeah, man. First off, it's exciting baseball, dog. Like, this is just such a fun start to the year, and I think there's a couple of things that are really important right now. One is just doing well in April. Before last year, AJ Hinch didn't have a good April in his entire Tigers tenure, and we still have plenty of April left. I'm not trying to, knock on wood if you can, but it's so important for this team to start off well and be in a position where they're not already just completely out of it when the weather breaks. So I think that's important. I think the biggest thing, though, for the Tigers right now is the fact that they are winning with a quarter of their opening day roster on the injured list. That is the most important thing, period. Like, they get Glaber back last night, obviously, but this is a team that is decimated and is especially up the middle, right? Like, this, they lost their second baseman for 2 weeks, and they are down to like their fifth string center fielder. So there's a lot to be optimistic about, I think, right now, because if they can just even keep their heads above water, I'm not even asking for like they need to be the first place team in the AL Central when, these guys start coming off the injured list. If they can even be like around 500 when the team gets a lot healthier, I mean, we could all be in for like a really, really fun summer. And so that, I think, is the biggest thing for me, is the fact that they're not only playing competitive baseball, they've either won or all of their losses have been close. They've either won or played in a close game in literally every game this season. Like you mentioned, the offense is a big part of that. And I think the biggest thing with the offense that you can point to is the bottom half of the lineup. Like, we know that Kerry Carpenter can rake. We know that Riley Green, maybe goes on hot streaks, cold streaks, but like, we know he's one of the best players on the team. There are guys in the top half of the lineup that we kind of rely on and we expect production from. Glaber even hasn't been here long, but is somebody we know we're going to lean on and has a good track record of hitting. The bottom half, Zach McKinstry has like an 1,000 OPS. Dog.
He's been unbelievable.
Like an RBI in like half of the games we played this year. Like that is the difference maker. Dylan Dingler went 3 for 4 last night and is hitting like 360 on the year. Now, obviously, those numbers aren't going to maintain, but like if they can get any offensive production out of the bottom half of this lineup, this, we're not going to be Murderers Row plus Cano in here, but like that they can be a solid, good enough offense along with one of the best rotations and bullpens in baseball and take the AL Central pretty comfortably, man. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is, everybody wanted them to go get more bats in the offseason, go be more aggressive. And like I did too. I'm not talking down on that. I was on that boat as well. But if they're going to get offensive production from the guys in the 5 to 9, 6 to 9 spot in the lineup card, then that problem will kind of solve itself. And Torkelson is probably the biggest reason for that too. He makes the lineup a lot deeper, and I'm kind of bought back in.
Yeah, I'm bought back in too, but this year I'm definitely not ready to get my heart broken again by Torkelson because he looks like a totally different player. But to your point, like this bottom of the order, it's been so impressive because you saw in the Yankee series, Riley Green was essentially a non-factor in that series with 1 for 12, I think 7 or 8 Ks, and you saw the bottom of the order kind of pick up that offense. Obviously, you get the nice game out of Torque. I think that was game 2 where he had the double and the home run. But, you talk about the injuries and we're going to get players back. Obviously, Vierling, Wenzel Perez, and Parker Meadows will be a little bit more down the line. But you'll see the lineup shake up more a little bit, especially defensively. Where are these guys going to go? And a big topic of conversation has been Colt Keith and kind of his defensive struggles at second base. Obviously, for a young player, it was probably difficult for him being told, all offseason, hey, we're going to move you to first base. Because Torkelson hasn't been, who we thought Torkelson was going to be. We're going to move you to first base. Then Glaber goes down. Colt Keith goes back to second and struggles. And myself, look, I'm a Colt Keith guy. Scott Harris locked him up before playing one MLB game for a reason. And one thing I want to point out, I think a lot of people, I see this all the time on, people talking about it on TikTok, Twitter. People act like we gave Colt Keith this ginormous contract. That contract's going to end up being a steal. We're paying him $5 million for the next 6 years, then 3 $10 million club options.
For sure.
It's a steal. His hit tool is...
Yeah, people that are upset about that that's a lack of understanding how the arbitration process works in baseball. I would do that deal 10 times out of 10. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, how do you, if you're the Tigers, because again, he's a young player, and I feel like if you just keep him out of the lineup, that's not helping anything.
Right. How
do you approach this kind of Colt Keith situation and his struggles defensively? Because you want him on the field, you want him in the lineup.
Yeah, man. No, it's a big topic of conversation, and it's going to continue to be, especially as you mentioned, they get more and more healthy. I think for starters, he's not playing second base anytime soon. Glaber is back, and Glaber, it's. I never thought when we signed Gleyber Torres that I'd be begging him to come back for his defense because he is notoriously not a very good defender. But my goodness, he is certainly going to be the everyday second baseman no matter what going forward. So you're not going to see him there. And I don't think that the Tigers are in a position to move Torkelson off of first base anytime soon. So I think that this is a case where you are going to see Colt Keith deployed in very specific situations that Hinch believes he can flourish and thrive in. You're going to see him DH when a righty is on the mound. You're going to see him enter the game, late in the 6th, 7th inning when maybe a soft tossing lefty is on the mound, somebody that he can get timed up. But he is just late on every fastball, man. Like anything over 93, 94 miles an hour, he is late as all heck on. And I think that, you see, like last night, for instance, you saw him take he had an RBI single. He took it the other way on a spin pitch low and away to him. And it's like, okay, well, I'm glad that he is still able to connect, and I think it's all right now about building his confidence. He told beat reporters the other day that this is the least confident he's ever been on a baseball field, and looked like he was going to cry, man. Like, I feel so bad for the dude because he's uber talented. I still fully believe in the player long term. This guy, like, people have to understand that this dude is literally one of the best hitters I have ever seen in the Tigers minor league system in my whole life. Like, he raked down in the minor leagues for the Tigers. He was the number one prospect in the organization, like leapfrogged big names because of how good of a hitter he was. He will figure it out and be fine. It's just about how they get him back to that point where he is there is, like, it sounds kind of weird and cliche, but like there's no swagger in the box. Like, and I know that's kind of like a Boomer thing, but like there isn't, dude. Like, he has no confidence. You go and watch his tape when he was in Toledo and he went, 6 for 6 with a cycle and 2 homers in one game. Go watch that tape and just go look at the confidence that is oozing from him, and like how he is destroying every fastball that is in the zone. Like, that's just not what we're seeing, and it'll come, but it's just a matter of how they get him to that point while also putting the best team on the field every game. That's the tightrope that they have to walk, that they have to walk rather. So I honestly, like, in the immediate, he's not going to get sent down. I know that it's a big topic of conversation. But as they get healthier and healthier, once you get Vierling, Margot, and maybe Perez, like, once you get like 2 or 3 of these guys back, that's when the conversation is like, if he hasn't figured it out and kind of turned a corner by then we could be talking about that, because there's no need for him in the field at this point. But I think until then, like, he does lead the American League in walks. Like, it's not, what I mean? Like, he is still like he is proving that he is able to work counts and identify pitches. He just can't catch up to anything. So long kind of rambled there, but like I think it's a really fascinating conversation. I think that that he is going to be deployed very selectively until they think his confidence is kind of back to a point that everybody feels good about. And then you just are going to have to decide, do you want Colt Keith or Justin Henry Malloy to be your DH on a consistent basis?
Yeah, and I think you make a great point. Like, you could just tell when a hitter's really feeling good in the box. Like, there just looks like there's no confidence from Colt Keith. But I mean, again, like we saw what Colt Keith can be, in bits and pieces last year, like July, where he was hitting 322. I think he had like a 1040 something OPS, 7 homers.
That homer in Cincinnati, dude.
He had 2 that game, and the second one was
that thing. Oh man,
bro, that's the Colt Keith.
Yeah,
I think we're going to end up getting down the line. And again, like I said, you bring up the contract again. We get a $10 million club option at 28 years old.
Right.
Like, where he's going to be in his prime. So I know it could be frustrating, but everybody, giving up on Colt Keith. I'm absolutely not even close to being in that point yet. And I don't think anybody should, but not a great start from Reese Olson yesterday. I think Reese is a great pitcher. I think he is one of the more underappreciated pitchers in all of baseball. Really good slider, sinker. But the pitching as a whole for the Tigers is as good as advertised. Flaherty's been unbelievable. Skubal had a great start against New York. Mize, Job, the numbers might not be there, but his stuff is ridiculous. That cutter is fucking nasty, man. That is disgusting. Which pitcher has been the most impressive, or I guess which starter has been the most impressive for you so far?
Yeah, I don't even think this is a competition. I think this is the easiest question you have and will ask me. I think it's pretty obviously Casey Mize in terms of like expectations going into the year, right? This was a guy that a lot of people had, I don't want to say like completely given up on, but people were kind of in the boat of like, he's never going to be that great. Maybe if he can be a 5th rotation guy, then like that's a win. And he has been stellar, man. Like it is so fascinating to me. This guy was drafted 1-1 because of his splitter, right? Like, that is why he was the number 1 overall pick out of Auburn. He threw, it was daunted, like the best pitch in the draft class was like his splitter. And he then gets obviously drafted 1-1, starts playing pro ball, throws a no-hitter in his Double-A debut for the Detroit Tigers.
Yep.
and then is shut down for the season shortly after that because they're worried about his arm and whatnot. He comes back and is fine, but he cannot get swing and miss at all. I mean, he's got like an ERA around 4 pretty consistently, before the injury there, but like he's not getting any swing and miss. And so there's a lot of questions surrounding like how good can he really be? He's not getting strikeouts. His strikeout rate is abysmal. And it got to a point where he stopped throwing the splitter. Like he just, it wasn't even a part of his repertoire at one point. And for him to come back this year and throw that thing 90 miles an hour and get a swing and miss whenever he wants, the fastball can hit 97, which was never a thing pre-surgery. And his slider is easily the best I've ever seen it. I thought his slider was terrible. Pretty much his whole major league career, I've been bashing it. And now this year, I think it's a pretty darn solid pitch. Like, he went from, again, like completely like, oh, he's kind of got to just get soft contact and wiggle his way out of danger every time he's on the bump to like, no, this guy's a dog and can kind of shove it down your throat. And I easily Casey Mize in terms of like the person who has impressed me the most so far this year. I'm blown away by the comeback, because his injury was weird in the first place. Like he had Tommy John, but he didn't tear his UCL. He had Tommy John because the elasticity was not tight. Like he had just thrown so many pitches that it was just, his muscle was just like a rubber band that had lost its elasticity. Like that, there was no tear in it. So it was already weird where it was like, it's not a tear, but he could be throwing a lot better. And he had a back surgery that apparently he put off for like 4 years, like ever since he was coming out of Auburn. Like now he's healthy, and I am so impressed with him. He might be the 5th in the rotation, but he sure as heck isn't the 5th best pitcher on this rotation.
Yeah, when that splitter's going, when he pairs that with the fastball and the fastball has a little rise to it.
Yeah, man.
He looks like, and I might sound crazy. He looks like one of the better right-handed pitchers in the league when he's really going. And I know it's a small sample size this year, but I mean, everything has just changed. But Scott, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the other 1-1, Spencer Torkelson. And look, this is a guy that I might have to go back and delete some tweets, because there was a point where I was watching Torkelson and I was saying, wow, this guy is just not a major league hitter. There were a lot of points last year where I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. But he looks like a totally different hitter. He changed his stance kind of back to his stance at Arizona State. How big of an impact kind of down the stretch, like, will Spencer Torkelson have in this lineup? Like, how important is that power for this order, a lineup that really needs the power?
Yeah, man. I going into the season, so my season preview, which would have been either opening day or the day before opening day, I think I had Spencer Torkelson and Colt Keith as like the 2 most important hitters in the entire lineup in terms of like how good this offense is going to be this year. I'm like completely on board. I think he's like good, and this isn't just a small sample size thing. I genuinely think this lasts. Now, I don't think that like 1,100 OPS and 350 average lasts. That's a small sample size thing, but like I think he is legitimately going to be that middle of the lineup bat that we wanted. It's just a matter of how high his ceiling still is. You mentioned the reason why I'm bought back in is it's because he made tangible changes you can see. This isn't just like, oh, he just kept running, into a wall and hoping for a different result at some point. Like, no, there is a tangible, very clear change in where his feet are, his stance, his load pre-swing, like all of that is different. And the swing is the same. And that's the one thing that he never wanted to change because it's always worked for him. And he's just so much quicker to the ball. That was the frustrating part with Torque was he couldn't catch up to velocity. He couldn't catch up to fastballs. Now he's crushing fastballs. He's he's like me in college. He's crushing heaters, dude. On a night out, he's ripping some heaters. And so it's great, man. Like I'm bought back in. I think And to be fair to like, the fan base and the people that were skeptical of him or went back and were like, I just don't see it. Like at the time, that was true. And with his approach and his stance at that time, it was true. Like he would probably tell you the same thing. Like he had to change things to be where he is now. So yeah, man, like this team, everyone wanted a right-handed power bat this offseason. They didn't get one. I guess Glaber kind of, but like they didn't get that like big power bat that you can bat like fourth in the lineup. And if Torkelson just ends up being that, the whole dynamic of this lineup changes. And I don't know if he's going to hit like 45, 50 bombs. Like I'm not trying to tell people he's going to win MVP or anything, but I think he can be a, 850 OPS, 30 plus home run guy in the middle of this lineup that draws some walks for sure.
Yeah, really exciting. And you even look at like the White Sox game, bases juiced with the game on the line. 2024 Spencer Torkelson is hitting a pop fly to the shortstop.
Yeah, pop
situation.
Up to short, baby. You best believe it.
He is a totally different hitter. Approach is way different. You mentioned the load. The load's quicker, so he's able to get the fastballs in on his hands. Just a totally different hitter. Hats off to Torque. But we'll end it on this question here. Like I said, 13 games into the year, it's hard to have like a solid kind of opinion on a baseball team. But just from what you've seen so far, where do you think the Detroit Tigers will be in the AL Central, we'll say, come the All-Star break?
Man, I'll be real with you. It's a little bit is tiger-colored glasses there, but like it's really hard for me to not say that they can make a run for the division. This offense will not be as good as it has been right now. I am preparing people and forewarning. Like there will be a drought offensively at some point, and you will get pissed. Like I promise you, it's going to happen at some point, and
how baseball
I will get pissed too. But the thing that is the silver lining throughout all of this is the pitching. Like this is an incredible bullpen that can hold any lead and can prevent any deficit from getting out of hand. And it is a starting rotation that this is the problem I talked about on Friday on my show was like, I am going to look at pitching matchups and just assume like, oh, we should take this series. Like, look at the pitching matchups. And it's like, well, it's like, there's more nuance to it than that, right? Like we're going to go up against better offenses, but like, I genuinely think this 5-man rotation, any 3 guys you see can go toe to toe with any 3 guys you will see from any team in baseball this year. And like, that is the thing that I think is going to keep them competitive, even when the offense maybe gets inconsistent and has its ebbs and flows. So I'm not going to like plant my flag and be like, oh, they're taking the AL Central guaranteed this year. But like, I would, at this point, I would be pretty darn surprised if they were playing like meaningless, uncompetitive baseball by July. I fully expect them to be in the mix kind of all year at a minimum. Yeah, well, Scott, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining on this Saturday morning. Tigers 2-10 today. Job on the mound. Definitely going to be tuning into that. Job Day, baby. That's one of the beautiful things in this life is Job Day.
It's like a holiday at this point. But make sure you go check Scott out at all of his socials and Locked On Tigers and Locked On Red Wings. Scott, good talking to you, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, appreciate you, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Scott's the man. All right, guys. 11 o'clock. I have a topic that I want to get to next week. Which turnaround is more impressive, Pistons or Lions? So come with your opinions next week with that topic. But and by the way, Gentry had to skip. He had to go to his son's soccer game. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to go follow Scott on all of his socials. But make sure to subscribe to this channel. Buy your merch. Like the stream. Become a member. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Another great Saturday. Go Tigers. Go Wings, I guess. Go Pistons. And go Lions. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for chatting with us this morning.